All right, thank you guys for hopping on our weekly Thursday call. As a reminder, every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is our way to connect with you guys. This is our accountability call. Every single week, we're gonna either bring a guest speaker with a topic, or we're just gonna have an open call so that we can have that time with you guys, for you guys to ask questions, for you guys to share what's happening in your journeys, for us to celebrate you, for us to motivate you, inspire you, and all of that good stuff. All right. So thank you so much for jumping on. I'm so excited for tonight's call. Many of you guys, I think everybody knows Audrey Diaz Robles. Yes. So Audrey and I met like 6 years ago? 6 years ago. And actually just recently I got my first, like a reminder where I went to my first Super Saturday. And I remember going because she was like, I'm gonna be there, and I'm such an introvert. And she's also an introvert. Doesn't appear that way on social media, but total introvert. And she's like, you can come and, and just come and look for me. And I'm like, I ain't going over there by myself. So I dragged my husband, but it was great because, I was able to then not only I introduced myself to the community, but I was able to introduce him to the community. And it was such an amazing event. And actually, that's one of the first times that I saw Audrey speak publicly. And she's an introvert, but she's amazing. So we've always discussed how there's two types of speakers, or two types of leaders, I should say. One is a teacher and the other one is a preacher. And tonight you're gonna get the preacher. I am the teacher. And so I'm super excited. I feel like in any type of scenario, whether it is a call, whether it is a presentation, whether it is a one-on-one, Audrey will always bring it on the preacher side. And it might be because, of her dad. She gets a little bit of her dad. But I'm super excited for tonight's call because I know that she's going to bring that power for you guys and for all of us that always need it, right? Every single day. Sometimes we have great days. Sometimes we have difficult days. And tonight, I know that she's going to share her story with us. So Audrey, share a little bit about how you came into Beachbody, why Beachbody, and just bring it on. Talk to us about why it's never about starting over.
Yes. What an introduction. And I really hope I live up to it. Wow. Thank you, Gabby. Well, hello guys. I have been doing Beachbody workouts for 8 years now. And it's funny because people always inbox me on my mostly on Instagram, and they're like, I love how consistent you are, but it must come so easily to you. Like, no. Let me tell you guys about who I was before, because we always see people and we always think it's some overnight success. What you see is 8 years in the making. And I still have so much room for improvement. So I was always the type of girl that had like the naturally nice body and could eat whatever I want before I had kids. If I wanted pizza every day of the week, I was probably doing it. I'm sure I was eating like fries at night, going to diners with my friends, hanging out and eating all of that. And Nutella, Gabby. Yes, Gabby knows. So when I had my first child, it was such a shock to me. Like, how come this weight just isn't coming off? How come, like, it's just not going away? And when he turned a year old, I found out I was pregnant with my second. And it was 2 C-sections, 2 big boys. My first son was 9 pounds. My second one was 8.6. And they were both C-sections. So now here I was. And the weight was just there. My belly was so squishy. And I remember I would buy jeans with the shirt that would go over it so you couldn't see my muffin top. Or do you girls know what it's like to sit down and you always have like your arms crossed because you don't want anybody to see your belly? That was me all the time. And I remember after my boys were born, I even looked through my closet and there were so many clothes that I like kicked myself because I wish I still had them, that I told myself like, no, you can't wear that anymore because now you're somebody's mom. And you know what? That was like the excuse that I told myself because I thought like, well, you know, this is who I am now. I got a mom body and that's it. I got a mom body and I got to deal with it. And I got to wear clothes now that are loose and look like a mom. But no, I was only like 28 years old when my second son was born. So I knew I had to do something. And I saw a couple of people on my social media that I knew that were friends with my husband. And I would see them because I knew who they were. But all of a sudden I would see them waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, posting a workout and drinking a shake. And I was curious. I'm like, what are they doing? But I didn't care. Like I was there eating my bagels because I used to have 2 bagels in the morning every morning. I was there eating my bagel, watching them. Like, what are they doing? And then as I kept watching them, they kept losing the weight. And I kept feeling bad about myself until one day I posted on social media, oh, I was about to join the gym, but Malamars are back in season, so I can't. And if you girls know what Malamars are, they're my favorite cookie. They're only in supermarkets in the fall because if not, they'll melt. They're like these chocolate covered s'mores. So my coach inboxed me and she's like, I saw what you posted. Why don't you just join my challenge group? And it was because she invited me that I thought, okay, I'm going to give this a chance. And I signed up. And my first week, I was down 5 pounds. And my first month, I was down 10 pounds. And I felt incredible. Like when I tell you girls that I got my confidence back, I felt like a brand new woman. And I remember just sharing it every day on my social media, like telling other moms, because I had all of these conversations with my other mom friends, like, oh yeah, well, we're moms now, and, you know, things jiggle, things stick out, you know, we're squishy now. And then I realized like, no, I didn't have to be like this. It doesn't have to be like this. And I just felt amazing. I did a 90-day challenge group. But you girls know what happened after that? After that, I got comfortable and I started to gain the weight back. And I did P90X after that. And I decided that it was too hard for me and that the workouts were too long. And then slowly, I started to go back to my old eating habits. And I was like in denial about it. I'm like, you know what? This pizza, this burger, these fries, it's really not going to make that much of a difference. Like, who really cares if I eat just this much? And you know what? I'm tired. I'm not going to work out right now. I'll do it tomorrow. But since it was P90X and it was an hour workout, guess who didn't work out tomorrow? And then months passed by and I was in the same routine. And I realized like I had gained all the weight back that I had lost after my first challenge. And then I remember I was talking to one of my cousins and it was like a Thursday and she's like, I really need to get back on track. And I'm like, you know what? I do too. Probably start Monday. And then she goes to me, why do we have to start Monday when tomorrow's a viable day? And I looked at her and I'm like, you know what? You're right. Like we're always waiting for the Monday, for the new week or for the new month or when the kids go to school, if your kids are going to school, like for something to change. We're putting it on something else, not realizing that you have today. So many times we think about the big result, the overall picture. Like I looked at P90X back then. I'm like, it's 90 days and it's an hour every single day. You know what my mistake was? My mistake was looking at the big chunk of the workout instead of thinking to myself, like, I have today. I could do the best I can today. Why am I thinking about I have to do an hour workout tomorrow when that's tomorrow's workout? Today's not even done. So then I committed to getting it done. And I told myself, okay, I'm going to be consistent. And I started to do the 21-day fix because at that time I was still working out after work. And I said to myself, I'm going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I'm going to do the workout because if I don't commit to this, it's not going to happen because there's nobody on this call right now that has an easy life that's doing nothing all day, that they just have all this extra time to work out. It doesn't happen for any of us. All of us have hard days. All of us have a lot on our plates. But that's no excuse, because unless we make the time for it, it's just not going to happen. So I told myself I'm going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I'm going to make sure that it happens. And you know what? I told other people that I was going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to make sure that it happened. And my first week waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I was running to the bathroom to puke, because it just felt ungodly to me to be up and to be moving my body at that time. Like, no way. But instead of, again, doing a program like P90X, that was an hour and 90 days, I picked the 21-day fix, because I was like, 30 minutes I can do. I can focus on 30 minutes. And I showed up every single day. And I had an amazing transformation from that. You know, a lot of people are always like, I wish I had the confidence that you had. I wish I had the work ethic that you have, the consistency that you have. Do you know what it takes to build confidence? Confidence is two things. Number one, identifying the skill set that you need to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So let's say it's losing weight. Let's say it's eating clean, it's meal prepping. Well, what do you need to do? Like, this is what I love about Beachbody. You guys have it all laid out. You have a whole array of programs to choose from. And if you guys are doing MBF like I am now, every day is right there. You show up, you don't even have to track which day. Like when I started, we had DVDs and I had to look it up. Okay, which DVD is today, and pop that one in. No, it's like, okay, week 1, day 1, here we go. Tomorrow, day 2. It's all laid out right there. And with the meal prepping, everything's right there. So the first step is finding the resources and the tools and the skill sets that you need. And the second is just putting it into place. So when you allow yourself to go through that process without making excuses, you are going to build confidence, because a lot of people are always waiting for the motivation to go work out, the motivation to really get serious, the motivation to go meal prep. Motivation doesn't exist. Like Mel Robbins says, motivation is garbage. You know when the motivation kicks in? The motivation kicks in 3 weeks into the program, when you've been consistent and somebody says to you, hey, have you lost weight? Or you put on that pair of jeans that you haven't worn for a while and you're like, oh my God, they're a little loose. That's when motivation kicks in, because all of a sudden you have this feeling of accomplishment, because it's no longer, how am I going to do this? It's, I'm doing it. I'm showing up. I'm enjoying my meals. I have my accountability group, and this workout, you know what? It's not as hard as I thought it was going to be. And yeah, I'm tired sometimes, and yeah, it's hard, but I'm showing up and I'm getting used to it. So forget that you need motivation. Forget that you're waiting for this perfect start. You just have to go all in. So then after the 21-day fix, I did 21-day fix extreme. And then we had a program called 22-minute hardcore. And again, I was biting these small chunks of workouts. This was a 22-minute workout, and I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get it done. And do you know what that built in me? That feeling of accomplishment? This girl that used to hate working out, this girl that used to eat like crap all the time, this girl that I only worked out to meet a goal. If there was a wedding and I wanted to look good in a dress, if a vacation was coming up and I had to go into a bikini, those were my goals. But you know what I've learned along the way? You're not going to change and really take this journey seriously until you change how you think of yourself. So if you came into this challenge group because you have that kind of goal, like I want to lose 20 pounds, that's awesome. But you know that everybody has the same goals? If you look at the people that win, like that are able to complete the New York City Marathon, that are able to do like Ironman competitions, everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to finish. The only difference between those that do and those that don't is the execution. And why do some of us execute? Because we start to think of ourselves as athletes. So during this time, I was chosen by Beachbody to be in the test group for one of our programs, Deforest. And I started to develop this motto, which is, if it scares me, it's a good thing to try. So I learned to say yes to things that scared me, and being in the test group for this program scared me because, again, I'm the girl that had like 2 bagels every morning for breakfast, and my eating had gotten a lot better, but I hated vegetables, guys. Like, I'm such a big baby when it comes to vegetables. And during this test group period, it was going to be 90 days of doing this program, of giving in measurements, giving in workout videos, sharing our accountability group with Beachbody. And I thought to myself, like, I got to do this right. or I'm going to let the company down. I can't just like half-ass this because they're looking at me. And my coordination was so bad with the workouts. Day 2 of this program is like 1 billion push-ups, and I couldn't even do 1 push-up on my toes. I was doing all these push-ups on my knees, and I had to like make myself eat broccoli and make myself eat all these vegetables that I really didn't like. But it was during this time that I realized that sometimes we quit in our minds before our body gives out on us. And during this time, I had to tell myself with each push-up that I couldn't do, no, Audrey, you're an athlete. And when you can't do one, push out 2 more. Push out 2 more and keep going. And I told myself that every single day. Because how many of you admit it? When there's a move that's hard, you kind of sit it out because you can't go on. You're failing yourself when you do that. You have to start to train like an athlete. Tell yourself that you're an athlete. And you know what? Just keep moving. Even if it's not perfect, you show up and you keep moving. Don't stop, because all it is information for your body to keep going. I started day 1 of MBFA on Monday, and it was leg day, and it was so hard, guys. So hard that, and one move in the middle of the workout, I like collapsed on the floor and I started tearing up. But you know what what my thought was at that moment? My thought wasn't, Audrey, give up, it's too hard. My thought was, I can't wait to get better at this, because I knew I wasn't going to quit. And you know what, guys? Nobody's going to do this for you. Nobody's going to complete that rep for you. No one's going to complete that set but you. No one's going to follow the meal plan and eat those vegetables and make sure you're getting in all of those calories but you. You have to do this for yourself, and you have to tell yourself you're an athlete. I'm reading the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, and he talks about identity change as the main thing that drives our habits. Because again, all of us are going to have the same goals, and the only difference is for those of us that believe that we can do this and believe, I am a healthy person, I am an athlete, I am a badass, I am a clean eater, I can do this. When you flip that switch in your mind, your body has no choice but to follow through. And I want you to think about it. The next time that you're working out and it's hard and you're thinking to yourself like, I need a break, flip the switch in your mind really quick at that moment and tell yourself, no, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. And you're going to see the way that your mind pushes you through that workout. It's going to push you. It's going to propel you. And you know what that's going to give you? That's going to give you the sense of accomplishment to know that you can do better the next day. And then you can do better the next day after that. And that's how I built my consistency, because after I finished that program, I knew I was capable of anything. And there's no program that I can't do. And there's no challenge that I can't stand up for, because I know who I am now. I built myself. And it didn't happen overnight. It happened over all of these years that I told you guys. And I'm glad that I gained weight after my first challenge group, because you know what that did for me? That gave me information. Sometimes we think like, I gained back the weight, I'm such a failure, I'm going to hide, or I'm going to hide from my coach, because that's it, I messed up. I gained back all the weight I lost and more. But you know what, guys? That's life, and it happens to all of us. The only failure is staying down. So people ask me every day, how is it that you show up? You know why I show up every day? Because I failed. And I knew I did not like that feeling. I knew I did not like myself, because there's nothing like looking at yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and knowing that you did not live up to your potential. I did not want that for myself. So that failure was the best gift that I ever gave myself, because I know that I wasn't going back to that. So now when I show up every day, I know that I'm making myself proud. So even if the push-ups weren't great, even if my form wasn't great, even if the weight felt heavy and I had to go switch it down because I have the Bowflex weight that switched, even if I had to switch down the weight to a different one, I knew that I gave it my best. And I think that that's what makes MBF so hard. MBF per se is not a hard program because the reps are slow and Megan takes her time. What makes MBF hard is that how she says, no garbage reps. So if you're doing it and you're not pushing the weight that you're supposed to be pushing, you're only cheating yourself. What makes it hard is showing up and knowing like, this is the best weight that I can do, and I'm going to give it my all. Even if it's slow and it burns and you have to go down on the weight, you show up and you give it your best. So again, like we're always waiting for a Monday. We're always waiting for the next opportunity, but it's today. It's today. And that's where it takes to love your body. Because then recently, so I got in the best shape of my life with core Deforest. I had abs. Yeah. Hold on a second. I developed abs. I got into sick shape. I developed muscles that I didn't know I had. I could do push-ups like a champ, guys. And then I had my third baby last summer. So for you to go into like sick shape and then see yourself gaining the baby weight, knowing you can't do anything about it because it's natural and it's supposed to happen. I'm not going to lie, guys. I freaked out a little bit, you know? And then during the pregnancy, it's like doing workouts in which I used to be able to lift like 25, 30 pounds. And then I can't lift 5 pounds because I'm all out of breath. That takes a huge mental shift. And it takes a lot of self-love for you to tell yourself, you know what? Maybe I can't do that, but I can do this. And that's a choice that you have to make for yourself every day. Like if you've had an injury or anything like that happens, you have to be okay with telling yourself, you know what? This is the best I can do. Just don't lie to yourself. Don't half-ass. Only you know that. Only you know how much you have to give. So you tell yourself, when I was pregnant, it's like this 5 pounds is heavy to me right now. I'm out of breath, but this is the best I can do. And I'm going to show up for myself and for my baby today. Thank you. And that got me through the pregnancy. And then when I started to work out again, the girl who was like a push-up queen, I could not do a push-up, guys, for months. And yesterday was upper body for MBF Advanced. I did all of the push-ups in the set. I'm 14 months postpartum. That's how long it took me to rebuild back the strength. Because you know what, guys? Our biggest enemy is our own mindset. It's not our bodies. Our bodies are just following what we tell them to do. They're not strong enough yet because our minds are so weak. So when you train yourself every day to just show up and give the best you got, that's how you're going to become stronger. And you're taking it one day at a time. I had somebody reach out to me yesterday, and you know, we just started MBF Advanced this week, and she said to me, so what are we doing after this? And I'm like, no. What are you talking about? What are we doing after this? We just started a program. Why are you focused on what you're doing after this when you've got today and you haven't even done today's workout? Yesterday's the past. Tomorrow hasn't happened. It's not even guaranteed. You have today and the best you could do today. And when you focus on the controllable, getting the best workout in that you can today, following your meals to a T, doing the best you can, you're going to become stronger. And you know what? If you didn't, tomorrow's another day. The minute that you judge yourself is when you're setting yourself back and feeling bad about yourself tomorrow. And then you're also going to half-ass that workout because in your mindset, you're already feeling bad and like you cheated yourself. What good is that going to do you? So it's 8:30 tonight. I don't know if you guys have gotten your workout in. I'm sure a lot of you have in the morning. But tomorrow's a brand new day, and it's the day that God has given you. So tomorrow you're going to wake up in gratitude for this body God has given you that's able to move. I have a shoulder injury, and I tell myself the same thing. Like, I give God thanks for the mobility in my shoulder, and I do the best I can with that shoulder, but I'm grateful for the movement that I have, for the strength that I acquire every single day, for the food that I'm able to eat, for the knowledge to eat better. I just had a girl who celebrated her birthday last weekend, and you know, you think that the thing is that you want to indulge, you think that that's what you want. But again, when you do that, it's more information for yourself, because then you feel like crap. And she told me, she's like, all I want is a salad. And I'm like, well, I'm glad that you indulged, because now you know how crappy that felt. So now you can eat clean and you know what it does for your body. You know how it makes you feel. So go eat your salad, go drink your Shakeology, and go get your workout in. And the last thing I want to say is the title of this call, which is there's no starting over. Because that's life. Life is a journey. There's so many ups and downs. And if you tell yourself, oh, I have to start over. I missed 3 days. This week was so hard. You know, my parents are sick. My kids are sick. Work is slamming me right now. You know what you're doing? You're always going to be starting over then. And you're never going to get better. Never. So if you tell yourself, you know what? Again, like I keep saying, tomorrow's a new day. I'm going to start tomorrow. Not even start. I'm going to continue tomorrow. Because then you're just training yourself to always be starting over, always be starting over. Instead of gaining that stamina, gaining the endurance of a person that shows up every single day. And maybe you skip a day when you start. Maybe you skip 2 days, but the next day you jump in, and then you're consistent 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and then you see yourself, you're consistent for a week, 2 weeks, a month. Then it's 3 months, and then you are a brand new person because you decided to change your mindset and decided to actually commit instead of giving in to all the circumstances around you. So remember, guys, the failure, the bumps in the road, all that times that you want to quit or think that you're not good enough, that's just information to tell you that you're better than that. And you deserve better than that. And for those of you on this call that are parents, your kids deserve better than that, because you don't want your kids to struggle the way you have with your weight, to feel bad about themselves the way that you feel bad about yourself with your weight. My son had been in occupational therapy and speech therapy since he was 3 years old. And during this point, when I was doing 22-minute hardcore, there's one workout that's like 1 trillion burpees. And I was so out of breath. I was huffing and puffing. And he said to me, Mommy, why don't you just quit? That's what I do when it gets hard. And I turned around with tears in my eyes because I know how bad I wanted him to succeed and get stronger at that point. I said to him with tears in my eyes, no, when it gets hard, you go harder. And I finished those burpees as if I had just drank Energized freshly, for him, to show him, to be that example. Because we don't give up, we get better.
Damn, I wish I had a mic. Oh, wait. Read the pen.
The pen.
I told you guys. First of all, one of the things that you said that I think many of our ladies, and you know, me included, when I first started my journey, is that we aren't where we want to be because we allow our mindset to trick us, right? Mm-hmm. And all you have, that's why every single time there is a guest speaker, you guys will hear the guest speaker share that they had to work on this mindset, on this muscle first, as well as they're going through their journey, so that it can help with the transformation. Because if you never work on this muscle up here, your mind is going to trick you. It's going to definitely get in the way. And I remember through my journey, you know, just watching Audrey wake up at 5 a.m. And I would always tell myself, like, I'm not a morning person. How does she do that? I can't, right? And then, you know, and then eventually, because I never gave up, right? Like Audrey says, you can never give up. The only failure, right, is staying down. Had I stayed down, had I given up, I wouldn't be here 6 years later. But one of the things that, you know, eventually, once you continue to feed this, that it clicked, it was, I would always wake up at 6 to go to work. I was waking up for somebody else. Why can't I wake up to work on me, right? And once you make that shift, then you wake up, like Audrey says, with gratitude because you're seeing another day and you're able to move your body. And also, I think switching the way you are viewing things is perspective. Instead of saying, I have to work out, instead of saying that, you get to work out, because there's so many, you know, there's so many people that can't move the way you can move. So I love everything that you talked about. I told you guys she was going to preach. I'm going to do this right here so that if anyone has a question for Audrey, anyone has a comment, you know, you can unmute yourself and ask away.
You know, I always say you succeed in your mind first before you succeed with your body.
Yes. Anyone? Tenemos? Oh, Yesenia. Go ahead.
No, thank you for sharing, Audrey. I have never heard your story. It was very inspirational, what you said to your son. I wrote it down. I wrote that quote: when it gets hard, you go harder. I really appreciate you sharing your story.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yesenia. Anyone else?
Audrey, it's me, Liz. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for inspiring me. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have ever given that first step. I identified a lot with you, mainly because we shared we have 2 kids, and then later we shared the pregnancy. You became a mom of 3, and I became a mom of 3. And I guess I feel like te debo todo lo que yo he aprendido gracias a ti. Y you're like my inspiration. Y lo que acabas de decir me sacó lágrimas, porque it is true, you know. We don't teach our kids to quit. We want them to be better than us.
Yeah.
In any sense, you know, in anything. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I mean, and look at you doing workouts with the little baby.
Elizabeth,
I know that's hard.
Yeah, Elizabeth showed up con todo y panza. She was going in for her C-section the next day, and she worked out with us the day before. It's amazing. You know, and just to piggyback on that, about our kids, I'm grateful that Audrey brought that up, because I think that is so important for us. If your kids see you giving up, and your kids see you in and out of trying one thing, and then that didn't work, and then you went to the other one because you know, basically gave up on yourself, that's the behavior that they learn, right? And one of the main reasons why I have also stuck to this is because I wanted Matias to only know this, right? And when he sees us working out, because now we wake up earlier than he's up, but sometimes he'll wake, you know, on the weekends, and he sees we're pushing and we're like dying, he'll say, "Mommy, Papi, you can do it, you can do it," you know, and he's learned that from watching, right? And listening to the way we speak to each other, and listening to, you know, personal development, and attending events, and now we get to do them virtual. So I think it's so important that you not only, you know, speak what your kids what you want your kids to learn, but also show them, you know, with your own behaviors, with your own example, because they're gonna do what they see you do. I believe it was Darren Hardy in the book. I can't remember if it was the Entrepreneur Roller Coaster or the Compound Effect, where he shares a story about a woman that she had, you know, I don't know how many kids she had, but she would talk like life into her kids. You're beautiful, you're smart, you're, you know, all the good things. She would just bathe them with all of these good things, right? And just belief in them. But then they all grew up with insecurities like herself. They all had low self-esteem. They just had all these issues. And then, you know, we went to find out that the reason they did is because even though she was praising them all the time and believing in them and saying all these great things to them, when she would turn around and go to the mirror, she would speak bad to herself. And she would say, you're ugly, and look at yourself. You're so fat, and you're this, and you're that. And so that's what they learned. They learned her behavior, not what she was speaking into them, but what they learned was from her, you know, what she was acting out every single day. And so we have to be so careful, you know, for the moms here, we have to be so careful how you speak to your kid, how you behave in front of them. You know, your behaviors are so important, because they're going to learn from that quicker than they're going to learn what, I mean, how many times do they listen when you say, go clean the room, right?
Right.
Go brush your teeth, right? So it's so true though. Like, you have to be careful with that. So thank you, Jasenia, for also pointing that out, that Audrey brought it up. Anyone else?
Can you hear me, Audrey?
Yes, my love.
Hi, I'm sorry I don't have my camera on. I was just getting out of the shower. So I remember when you were working out while you were pregnant, you shared on Instagram a story about, maybe it was family, maybe friends, or maybe it was people, I don't know, but people were commenting about, you know, you shouldn't be working out while you're pregnant and doing all that jumping. And I thought about that right now, because I think that we often have, you know, first it's our voices that we hear, and then oftentimes it's those closest to us. And I'm wondering, you know, during that time that was so, you know, most recent, how did you work through that? How did you attack those opinions?
When you said my own voice, I think it's important that you are honestly very self-aware to know when you can and can't work out. Because my first trimester, I didn't work out for a lot of it because I was so sick and nauseous most of the time. So I knew I really can't, you know. When I could, when I felt better, I knew I owed it to myself. And I started to do the research on it, and babies of mothers that work out during pregnancy actually come out with like healthier brain activity, and are healthier babies overall. So I'm like, I have to do this for my baby. But because I was so strong in knowing that for myself, I just didn't let other people's opinions get to me. And the way my body ached towards the end of the pregnancy, that movement was the only thing that made me feel better. So nobody else was me. I was the only one living my life. So I knew I needed it for myself, no matter what they said.
Yeah. I mean, you know, thankfully that's not my experience. I think I have a community and family that are supportive. But I know that a lot of times other ladies have family members and friends who are not supportive or don't get it, regardless of where they are in their journey. And I was just curious about, you know, if you're someone who doesn't have, who's working on their mindset, and I know you have conviction and you know, have a very strong mindset. I guess I'm wondering, especially because when you're pregnant, you're so vulnerable,
Yeah.
right? You feel so vulnerable. So I guess that's why I chose that moment. Just wondering, like, I'm sure the comments may have gotten to you, I don't know, but I was curious about what do you tell other ladies when, you know, they're not as strong as you?
Honestly, that for me was the result of all the years that I had put in. Because in the beginning, we are very self-conscious. We are weak-minded. And that's all the more reason to keep working on it. And personal development. You know, we do personal development every single day. And again, it's developing that mindset when you know it's healthier for you. You know that you're doing what's best for you. And when you know that, and then people make comments, you start to realize that their comments are just a reflection of their own insecurities because they're not doing anything for themselves. So if they can stop you, then they feel better about their own laziness, their own lack of action. And then when you really understand that, then it gets a lot easier to tell them, like, well, join me.
Whoops, I was muted. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Jasmine. I'm new to the group. I'm Wendy, and I'm Wendy's sister-in-law, and Rudy's stepsister.
Hi.
Hi, and I just so I start my like 3-day cleanup or what is
Refresh.
that thing? The refresh. I start that this week, starting tomorrow, where I have to do the just a few drinks and all that stuff. And I start my official workout on Monday. I've never like really eaten vegetables, and so that was the one thing when you were talking, where you said you didn't eat broccoli and stuff. How did you get past that? Because that is so difficult. I have some food allergies, so I know certain foods I can't eat because I'll have a reaction. But then there's other things that I don't like, and I just don't like to eat them. So how do you get past that?
I had to check myself. I had to tell myself, okay, do you want to make excuses or do you want results? You have to get real with yourself. I wanted the results, so I had to do it. And you know what? It's not that bad. It's always so much harder in our heads than it actually is. I actually really like broccoli now. Go figure.
Yeah.
Today I had a salad with cucumbers. A couple of years ago, I would have never eaten cucumbers, and I was eating cucumbers in my salad.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Yeah, and then it's funny. I bought some stuff yesterday, and my kids are unpacking, and they're like, "Ma, why did you buy lettuce? Why did you buy spinach? Why did you buy blueberries?" I mean, they like the blueberries, but anything green or veggie, they're like, "Why'd you buy that?" And I said, "Well, you could try it if you want." They're like, "I'm not a rabbit." I'm like, really? That's what my husband says. So it's like we have a house full of people who do not eat veggies in any way, shape, or form.
I am a big believer in make it enjoyable. So you have to go through and find the foods that you are going to enjoy. Like my secret really is baby spinach, because you can put it into stuff and it doesn't taste like anything. So I put baby spinach into everything.
Rice cauliflower.
Yeah.
Also.
Cauliflower pizza crust? Like it's.
Yeah, I bought I was talking about cauliflower mashed potatoes. My son's like, "Ugh, that's disgusting." I was like, "Yeah, but did you try it? Have you tried it? How do you say it's gross?" I was like, "We're gonna try it." And then I was like, we'll keep trying something else. I was like, as long as I don't have an allergic reaction, we'll just keep trying new stuff.
Yeah, it starts at home. It starts with you, Jasmine. You know, you mentioned that no one in your house eats the veggies. And I think that now that you have embarked in this new journey, it starts with you. You know, they might not jump on board right away. So you have to be patient. You have to just lead from the front. And eventually maybe your husband will jump on board, you know, and then, you know, and at the end of the day for you, because you're struggling with the vegetables, I think it's you finding what you like. And, you know, one of the rules we have for Matias, my son, who's 7, is you can't say you don't like something unless you have fully, you know, tasted it, tried it, and then you get to say you don't like it, because you don't get to look at something and say, oh, well, I don't like that. Well, I don't think that you even know what it, you know, what it tastes like. Yeah. I think it's just you going through the list of vegetables and trying them out and trying, you know, different recipes. There's so many recipes with the Fixate program, and just really just experimenting, and then keeping what you do like and setting aside what you don't, because at the end of the day, you want this to be enjoyable, and you want your meal to be enjoyable, because you don't want to struggle eating your vegetables and then just stop doing stuff because you're not having a good time with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
I mean, we're used to having a fixed menu. I mean, typically even now we have a fixed menu, so eating the same thing each week is not going to be that crazy. But yeah, finding something that we like, that I like, that I'll be able to eat, is going to be a big thing.
Adding seasoning to the vegetables helps a lot, like adding garlic or cilantro, or, you know, making like a little mixture before you, or to add it to on top of the vegetables. It helps a lot, because I didn't grow up eating vegetables at all. And when my family come here, they be looking at me like, what are you doing? You're not feeding me that. And when they take the cilantro on top of it, or the garlic and the onions, I put on it, and they were like, "Oh, it's not that bad." Okay, yeah, okay. So then
Yeah.
so
And
you
just to
it out.
add to that, it's big because I same here. We weren't really big on eating vegetables until I actually started going to the store and going through the list of items that I would like to try that I've never tried. Brussels sprouts, it was like, what is that? Who eats that? And then actually Rudy sent me the recipe, and oh my God, they were delicious. After I tried the recipe and cooking them the way that they should be cooked, and have that pre-made seasoning, I think makes a huge impact on your eating habits. Because I noticed that when we don't have things ready for us, we tend to like put it aside. We're like, oh, I have it tomorrow, I'll make it tomorrow. I think prepping is a huge part of it, because once you have those condiments ready, those mixes ready, those sauces ready to mix your chicken or your vegetables, I think it makes a huge impact for you to prepare and eat the right amounts of foods with the amount of your vegetables, your proteins, and everything else that is online for you to follow your routine, your program. So I think for me, starting a program for the MBF was huge, to have that pre-made stuff. My seasonings were made, my garlic was chopped and peeled and ready. All I had to do is just dump everything in the pan with a little bit of coconut oil. My husband was try the Brussels sprouts. He was like, that is not olive oil. I'm like, nope, we're having coconut oil and we're going to try it and it's going to be great. And guess what? It was great, because it wasn't something that my palate was used to it. And now that it's knows what it tastes like, knows what it actually, it's not that bad. And I think once you do that, I think your mindset and your mouth, it starts to kind of work together, and we're like, all right, these are not so bad. We could try these next time or try the next recipe. But to add to what the ladies were saying, that having that tryout process and trying to have your stuff laid out and ready for you, I think it's a huge impact, and it's a big help to have them prepare and have them ready for you. So once you're ready to cook and prep your meals and have it ready, boom, it's there, it's ready, and you can just eat, cook and eat, and that's it. And I didn't even have to cook them. I just, now that I'm learning how to, prep my vegetables and everything else, I just put them on my containers, put them in the fridge, put them on my plate, warm them up. My kids will be coming up like, what are you eating? It smells good. I'm like, Brussels sprouts. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, Brussels sprouts, string beans and broccoli and like stuff that they would have had no interest on trying. I was like, nope, try it and then tell me if you don't like it or not. And if you don't like my seasoning, I'll make something else. But I think that has helped me along the way to kind of start prepping better and adding a little bit of seasoning. Garlic is huge. The coconut oil is huge. A little bit of salt and pepper, nothing obviously too much, but enough to give it a little bit of flavor, which is like, I think, a huge help when it comes to someone who's not really used to eating vegetables at all. I think it's a huge help. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just went to the market yesterday to load up on some of the things that I was going to need in order to be able to prep some meals ahead of time for myself. Because as of right now, I'm the only one really on the program. I'm still feeding my kids and my husband the same way we normally eat, which is Puerto Rican style rice and beans and stuff like that. But when I came home, my kids are looking through the bags and they're like, no snacks, no soda. I was like, nope, no soda, no snacks. You don't need that. So it was fruit. That's what they got. They got fruit as snacks.
And believe it or not,
So
that'll change.
That little by little, they're gonna get used to it too.
And believe me, they will, because my kids were the same thing. My son is 12 years old. My daughter is 11. And they do eat a little bit of vegetables, not as much as I would want them to. But the minute I started, obviously, incorporating more fruits and more vegetables in their meals, buying those different kind of vegetables that they're not used to it, and I make them and I prepare them, I just put them on their plate. I don't even ask anymore. I just put them on their plate, and I'm like, what is it? I'm like, try it. Just try it for me. Just try it for me and let me know how does it taste. And they try it. And so does my husband. They're like, all right, we'll try it. You know, my husband likes vegetables, my kids not so much. And they try it. And now that when I prepare meals for them, the first thing is like, oh my, you don't have any more Brussels sprouts? Or what happened to that seasoning that you had? It's crazy. But believe it or not, the mindset is when they see you eating or trying something new, they look at that and they want to kind of like, oh, okay, it's actually not so bad. But guess what? They just had a handful of your vegetables. Spinach with eggs mixed in there, you know, baby spinach with scrambled eggs in the morning, or a little bit of side of, you know, fruits on the side. They're like, okay, this is new. I'm like, all right, just try it. Yeah, there's nothing wrong. Just try it. It's fruits and vegetables. How bad can it be? And now, sure enough, little by little, as I prep my meals, I make extra vegetables for them because I want them to continue trying what I'm actually. Also, too, it makes it just a lot easier to have a side dish with vegetables for them as well, because you know it's good and it's healthy for them. And it's something that they can gonna take as they get into adulthood, because I really will want them to have a little bit more vegetables, fruits and vegetables in their system as they keep growing. But it changes, their mindset changes, because the minute you start changing their eating habits, they'll start changing their eating habits. And that's as being a huge help for me, because it was always been a battle with vegetables in the plate. We had a couple every now and then, seasoned vegetables, squash, zucchini, cucumbers, but not as big as I would want them to be. Like, man, we have to have 4 portions of vegetables. They're like, who does that? I'm like, yeah, I do, you know. But I learned, I've learned a lot more with this program than with anything else that I've ever tried. And I tried a lot of programs.
Thank you, Liz, so much for sharing your experience. It's so important, yeah, to lead by example. So as we close this call, I'm going to ask Audrey, because she has to run. The baby woke up. Do you have any final words for the ladies before we close it out?
Just one day at a time. Don't focus on what's going to go on next week or the day after. You have today. Do the best you can today. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Audrey, for sharing.
Thank you.
It's always so refreshing to hear that, right? Because I know many of you guys follow Audrey on social media and think that, man, I want to be like Audrey, but it takes work to be like Audrey. It took 8 years to be like Audrey. So you have to focus on showing up for yourself one day at a time. And like she said, never give up, right? Because you'll only fail if you stay down. So get back up every single day and do the best that you can, guys. All right. Have a great night, and we'll see you next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a blessed night.
Bye.
Bye.